I'm the college and career specialist, and we've invited juniors and their parents. I'm happy to see some students here too, to talk about post-secondary planning, options for after high school, and just gear you up for that fall of your senior year that will be here before we know it, to make sure that seniors or juniors currently are informed about what they'll need to do, and even just give a little context and a little assistance about what that next step might look like. We have some other folks here. Yesenia and Anna and Veronica are all here. So they're additional support, and they'll chime in here and there if needed. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first thing is wanting to talk about all the options for after high school. In the College and Career Center here, we're really here to help students explore their options and provide information on all of the above. So obviously you have going directly into the working world right after high school, military, apprenticeships, two-year college, two-year technical colleges, and four-year colleges are all paths that students could take. So we're going to go into each one of those in a little bit more depth as we go through here. So this is just something to consider. You know, more and more we're going to need some type of certification or degree. Students in 2021, it's estimated that 72% of available jobs will require some type of college or post-secondary credential. So that might be anything from an apprenticeship certification to a 9-month cert program offered at programs like Skagit, a technical degree at a program like Bellingham Tech, associate's degree, all the way to a 4-year college. But that's a large group of our jobs are going to require some type of furthering your education, so something to think about. Also that, you know, with that college degree, we know that people have a larger potential to be promoted and to earn more during their lifetime. So again, we want to make sure students have all their resources available, even if they choose to go into the working world right out of high school, that hopefully we're giving them those resources so that if they do choose to go back into a post-secondary education program, that we can give them a little jump start of information. So apprenticeship programs. Actually, I just was at another meeting right prior to this that was talking about a field trip that we are going to be promoting here at Mount Vernon High School for juniors and seniors to go learn about the apprenticeship programs right here in Skagit County. The apprenticeship programs right here are electrician, pipe fitters, and plumbers, as well as the construction trades. So we're going to take a field trip, a bus of students that will be able to go around and see what those programs and unions are about, learn about that hands-on experience of getting fulfilling an apprenticeship requirement. It's really on-the-job training meets all that academic rigor to come out with a really great career that you have a lot of growth in. So that's coming up in April. If you or your student want to know more information about it, please have them come and see me. Field trip permission slips will be available shortly, and we'll make sure that students can attend that if they're interested in apprenticeships. An example, the 3 I mentioned are local to us, but apprenticeship programs are all across the state, and this is a list of other apprenticeship programs that you might find of interest. So there's a great website, there's resources at the end of this PowerPoint that connects to the state apprenticeship programs, and that gives you the whole list and who the contacts are and how to go about doing the application. So this actually, PowerPoint will all be online at the end. Then we have private colleges. This is something that you might not think so much about, but there's the Work Training and Education Coordinating Board here in the state, and they oversee the private colleges in the area. And so there's 6,000 different programs. And again, I'll give you a list here on the next page. The nice thing is a lot of these private colleges also have financial aid, so you can tap into that. A great example would be the beauty school option. So, okay, slow down. Sure, absolutely. So the beauty school option is a great example, private career schools. Beauty school option, Jean Juarez Salon down in the Seattle area, They're a great school. They are a private school, but they offer financial aid packages and scholarship packages. So that's an example of an option for a private career school. So now we're into two-year colleges and technical colleges. Two-year colleges are sort of misnamed these days because our two-year college right in our backyard, Skagit Valley College, actually just began offering a four-year bachelor's degree. So two-year colleges are taking a different form these days. There are 29 two-year colleges in Washington State, and then there are 5 technical colleges. Those are public schools that have oversight by the State Board of Education. Typically at a two-year college, you'll find certificate programs, which are usually 9 to 12-month programs, professional technical degrees. So that would be something very specific that maybe a Bellingham Tech would offer. An academic transfer degree, or, like I mentioned, a bachelor's degree. The great thing about two-year and technical colleges is that they offer open enrollment. So a student can apply and they will be admitted to an open enrollment two-year college or technical college. Where they will be placed and what classes they'll be in is a different conversation. They're placed with either by reviewing the transcript or by taking a placement test. And at Skagit, that placement test and BTC, it's called an AccuPlacer. That test helps students determine where they would start in math and in English. So Skagit will work with students who come in. Any student can apply, any student can start at Skagit, but you might start below that 100 level mark of the college earning credit and have to take maybe a 99 level class to gear up so that you can get into that 100 level college math class, or you might place right into a college level class. Same with certificate programs and same with technical programs. They all want to look at your placement and place you in an appropriate class so that you're successful there. So a huge advantage to our students who maybe are a little bit uncertain that it is open enrollment. You don't need SATs or ACT scores, which is a great advantage. And then I just listed a few other great things, that it's tuition primarily is usually a lot less than it is at a 4-year public institution. It's usually about half. So flexible, it could be evenings, you could work. There's a lot of advantages to starting off at a 2-year college or a technical college or finishing your certification or degree there. This is just something to think about. Of all the 4-year college and university graduates from the state of Washington, 41% began at a 2-year college. So that shows us that a lot of our students are accessing 2-year colleges to begin their journey and then transferring to a 4-year college. Students can earn those associate degrees by earning those 90 credits, and then essentially that's completing your first 2 years of college. So when you apply to a 4-year college after you've completed an associate transfer degree, you're rolling into a 4-year college as a junior. Now, in Washington State, they have made agreements with all the community colleges and all of the 4-year colleges in our state so that that's very aligned. So if a student chooses to go to Skagit, for instance, and they are clear with their path and their advisor that they want to do a 2-year transfer degree, that will be complete and fulfilled so that when they apply to University of Washington or WSU or Central, they will be able to start as a junior. If you're going out of state, that agreement hasn't always been defined as clearly, so it is important for students to know if they're planning to go out of state to finish their 4-year degree, they might have to do a little more legwork and understanding what are those specific requirements, because there's not that consortium agreement between the state schools that we have here in Washington. Okay, so then we move on to exploring 4-year public and private colleges and universities. So there's a lot to consider for juniors now to think about where they might want to go. So again, the first list was big picture. Am I going into the workplace? Do I want to start at a 2-year, or do I want to go straight to a 4-year, military, apprenticeships? Now, if we've honed that down and we've decided maybe a 4-year is the right fit, you still have a lot more exploration to do. You have to determine the size, location. Is there a specific major you're looking at? And if so, if it's so specific, make sure that the colleges you're looking at have that major. Is it affordable? Is it public, private, religious affiliations? There's all sorts of factors there. So a great piece of information we can give our students right now is they can go on to Career Cruising, which they all just did yesterday, and they can log in and do some college searches. The nice thing is they can then save those colleges right to their online portfolio, which is theirs. You all as a family then can look at that. They can share their portfolio with you by just simply giving an access code via email, and you all can start that conversation. The Career Cruising is an international program, so they have a wealth of information about the colleges, and you can do a comparison side by side, looking at tuition, looking at majors. You can understand the GPA requirements, SAT requirements. It's all a one-stop shop. So that's our goal, is that if this is of interest to you to look into a 4-year college, that you'll start that college exploration process using Career Cruising. Another thing for juniors to consider is, and some of you probably came to our rep visits this fall, but those are going to kick off again next fall. So rep visits we had over 30 colleges come this fall, and those colleges were primarily 4-year colleges. There were a handful of 2-year and technical colleges. And those reps come and they talk to students in small groups, and they give them a lot of information. So as they're continuing that exploration or wanting to know even more specifics about the application requirements, I often just encourage students their senior year to come and just meet with that rep and shake their hand. The reps that come are most of the time the same reps that are reading those college applications. So if you can come and meet the rep from University of Washington or meet that rep from WSU, and they have a face with a name, it sure helps them when they're reading that application later to maybe say, oh, I did meet that student. That was great. I remember she was telling me she was interested in this or that. So please encourage your student, and students come to those again this fall. You can sign up and attend, and hopefully we'll have another great turnout this year. So how do you apply then to the 4-year college? It's really important that you understand the requirements. And most schools have this overarching requirement, but there are schools that have very specific requirements. So the thing I encourage students to do right now is to consider that every college is going to want your GPA, your cumulative GPA. So that's your freshman, sophomore, and junior year, right? When you're applying to college, they'll only see that end of that junior year. They will not see your current senior grades. Oftentimes, colleges that senior year will ask for a mid-year report wanting that first semester of senior grades as well. But keep in mind, the cumulative GPA you'll be applying with is the cumulative GPA from freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Almost all of our colleges in this state especially require the SAT or the ACT. You do not have to do both, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Then they usually want a list of your extracurricular activities. They want to know maybe about work experience. They want you to tell them about yourself. So these are all things that students could be doing now, is kind of gathering that information back into one spot. We are going to be doing that in Career Cruising too in April for all of you juniors. We're going to ask you that you put all that information into one place. So hopefully that'll streamline some of that information. And even looking at essays that might be out there for college applications is a great place to start. University of Washington has the earliest application deadline in our state, and that's November 15th. The nice thing about University of Washington is their application is ready online at all times. So you can actually start, it's called the Coalition application, and you can start putting all of your information in there right now, so that when they release it in the fall and they say, okay, now here's our new essay questions, that's the last piece of the puzzle you have to put together for University of Washington. So why take the ACT or the SAT? It's an admission requirement for the majority of the schools in this state. It's an admission requirement for the majority of the schools in the nation. There are a handful of SAT, ACT optional colleges in this country, but it's small. They're also a factor in scholarships. So when you're looking at applying to scholarships, especially through the universities themselves, they will have SAT, ACT requirements. So it's important that you take it for that reason also. And let's see. Oh, the reason that colleges use the SAT or ACT, and they've used it forever, is it's the only way to really evaluate nationwide where students are. They can look at a GPA from Mount Vernon High School, but they don't know if that's a similar student if they have the same GPA coming from Linden High School. So the SAT, the standardized test scores, really help them level that playing field and get a better sense of who you are academically. It's an indicator of how students will do in college, but you will hear most college admission representatives will say your high school transcript is the main thing we're going to consider. They will look at that SAT or ACT score, but it's your grades that they really want to see. They want to see the big picture about you, not one day, one morning of your life. I just wanted to highlight, though, there's the ACT and the SAT is much more similar now than it is different. It used to be a very different test, and they're much more similar now than they are different. So the majority of our juniors take the PSAT as a practice test. There is a practice ACT, but we don't do that for our juniors. So the PSAT is the best way for you to prepare to take that SAT if that's your plan. And students can go into their College Board account through the SAT, look up their PSAT score, and then they can also link to something called the Khan Academy. It's KHAN. It's a free program through the College Board, and it creates a study guide for you, a specific study guide just for you. College Board has said if you spend just 20 hours, not all at once, but just 20 hours working on that study guide for you, they've seen an increase in up to 120 points when you go back to take that SAT, and it's free. So we encourage you, if you took your PSAT, go back and review those scores, link it to the Khan Academy. It's all through the College Board, and use that to study. If you're interested in taking the ACT, the PSAT was not for you and you're just not wanting to try that test again, we have practice booklets here, and we're happy to hand those out. Students can familiarize themselves with the ACT, and then they can go and take that test. So when should you take those tests? The goal would be to take it the spring of junior year. And that allows for you to take it again, if need be, in the fall of your senior year. Still in time to get all those applications in. So again, University of Washington is the earliest application deadline. However, they will accept SAT scores through the end of the year. So December 31st is when they'll accept SAT scores. So you can still feel that pressure though. You got to make sure you have a testing calendar that makes sense for you and your family. For the SAT, the next test dates are May 5th and June 2nd. The deadlines are a month prior. So please make sure you don't wait till the last second to register. And the ACT is April 14th, June 9th, and also July 14th. The deadline for the April test is actually tomorrow. So if you're planning to take the ACT and you want to get a jump on it, that would be a good option. Otherwise, June or July is just fine as well. You will want to consider then looking ahead at their calendar. They've already released the following fall's dates, and get that organized, because we know how busy everybody is if you're planning to take it again, okay? So just consider that when you're looking at your testing calendar. So then just really briefly, wanting people to understand four-year college admission deadlines, there's a lot of information out there. The majority of our schools use something called rolling admission, which is really nice. Most schools in our state, and again, you need to make sure you're checking, but they have a priority deadline, maybe end of January, beginning of February, but they will still take applications on a rolling basis prior to and after that deadline, and they'll review those applications as they come in, and they make decisions as they come in. Then you have regular admission. University of Washington is a great example of regular admission. They have a deadline. Their deadline's November 15th. They don't review anything until they get all of the information all at once. Then they do an entire review, and then as of March 1st, they started mailing out acceptance letters or rejection letters. So all of our students are going to be getting those in the upcoming weeks, and it's all done at once. That is a regular decision school, or a regular admission school. Those are the two most common that you'll hear about, but there are early action and early decision. Most of those are offered at private schools or more selective schools. Early action simply means you're giving them your information early. Those deadlines are usually November 1st or November 15th, and they'll let you know early if you've been accepted. So it's a win-win, right, of getting that information early to them. They'll let you know early. They won't usually have financial aid packaging early, but they'll have an admission decision early. Early decision is actually a binding agreement. If you see a college that says you can apply early decision to our college, that option means if you apply to that college and you are accepted to that college, you are creating a binding contract with that college saying, I will go. It's no longer I'll get all my other information in and I'll make my decision as I come. Early decision is binding. So please know that. It's not offered very much out here. It's offered a lot on the East Coast, especially with Ivy League colleges. But there are a few small private selective schools that do have early decision. How do we pay for all of the above? If you're going to a 2-year college, a technical college, or a 4-year college, you're going to need to do financial aid applications. That's either the FAFSA or the WASFA. And what that allows you to do is get more information about your options for paying for college. So there is work study. That's done by completing a FAFSA application or a WASFA application. And that is then saying, I will work on your college campus, and that money goes directly towards my tuition. Okay? It's a great program for students. There's loans. Those loans are also accessed through the FAFSA, the federal application, or the WASFA, the Washington State application. And then there's scholarships. Those are accessed usually, primarily, the most money you're going to get is from the colleges themselves. They have the most money in their pockets. So what you need to be aware of is their scholarship application process. University of Washington does not have a separate scholarship application. They say your application, we will also review and take into consideration and award you scholarships based on that. WSU, Washington State University, they have a separate scholarship application. So they say, please apply for admission and please apply for our scholarships. And that's a separate scholarship application. So as you're going into that season, you have to really make sure that you understand those requirements and the deadlines for scholarship applications from the colleges. That is going to be your biggest pool of money. Then scholarships are also offered on a national level, state level, and local level, and that's something that comes through our office. Again, Career Cruising has a great national scholarship search, or there's great programs like FastWeb. Those are all available on our website. For state scholarships, there's a website called washboard.org, and what Washington State did is they put together a profile match. Students can go in and fill out information about themselves, and then they match those students with state scholarships that are a good fit for them, because there's a lot of money out there that goes unclaimed. So the goal is that they're helping to match those students. And then for local scholarships, those come through the College and Career Center, and those are put onto a bulletin, and we're trying to get that information out constantly to students. Please come in, please come in, please talk to us about scholarship opportunities, and I've linked all of them to a live link so kids can print those off anytime and work on those applications. Those usually start trickling in around December all the way through till April. Again, we've talked about applying for scholarships. This is the website where students would go. At the very bottom, they would go to Paying for College HTML website on the Mount Vernon High School College and Career Center site. But just keeping in mind that the majority of money comes directly from the colleges or universities. Another important note is Skagit has a separate scholarship application. So if you're applying to Skagit, that deadline is March 15th. So, although I mentioned Skagit's open enrollment, and if you're in your junior year and you're thinking, I'm going to Skagit, or your senior year, I'm going to Skagit, I can apply anytime, I'm ready to go, just keep in mind you have to apply for that scholarship for Skagit by March 15th. And in order to apply for the scholarship, you have to have a Skagit student number, which means you have to have done their application. So it does get earlier and earlier. All of it gets earlier and earlier every year, which is why we're having this meeting now. So I mentioned the FAFSA or the WASFA. Those both open up to the public October 1st of every calendar year. So for your group, it'll be opened up October 1st of 2018. You do not need to do both applications. You will do one or the other. And there's a checklist of why you would do the FAFSA versus why you would do the WASFA. The biggest thing is Washington State has offered for non-residents, non-U.S. residents, they can still apply for Washington State funding. Otherwise, you would apply for federal funding. So that's the biggest difference. We will offer a financial aid night here in the fall, so hopefully you'll all attend that. We have experts from, this year we had Skagit and Bellingham Technical College come so that they could help. But it really has gotten easier, and hopefully once you're in there, I remind students you'll have to do the FAFSA or the WASFA every year you're in college. So it is an annual thing to disperse funding for the following year. So although it feels overwhelming that year one, it does get easier as you do it year after year. And then WUI, it's pronounced WUI, Washington Undergraduate Exchange. That's a great option for students to consider as well. If your student is thinking, maybe I want to go out of state, and then you look at out of state tuition and you think that is crazy, then WUI might be an option for you. It's a consortium of a lot of different colleges, and they have said if you come to our college and you're a Washington State resident, instead of charging you out of state tuition, we will charge you in-state tuition with 50% extra. So it's not as good, but it's a much better deal than out-of-state tuition. And if you go onto the WUI website, you will see a list of a lot of colleges in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, California, Arizona that qualify as a WUI college option. So just wanted to bring that up as you're looking and doing that exploration and considering costs, and make sure that you are aware of the WUI consortium of schools. Here we go. What we need all of your students to do, and what all of you need to be doing, is you need to check the college rep schedule in the fall so that you're able to come and meet and greet with those people and get familiar with their college applications. Military reps are also here on a monthly basis. We have every branch of the military represented. So please, if your student's interested in that, please have them come talk to a military rep. You need to take or retake your SAT or ACT. Okay, that's something that should be on your radar right now. Decide on your list of colleges and plan. It doesn't have to be a hard and fast list, but I want you to know that September will roll around really fast and those applications start coming in. The thing I see most is students feel overwhelmed when they don't feel like they have their own list. If you look at all of the colleges out there, it is so overwhelming to keep track of deadlines and scholarships and do they need an essay? Do they need a letter of recommendation? But if you have your list honed down to that 5 to 8 colleges, maybe a few more, it's going to feel so much more manageable about what your plan is than feeling like it's all up in the air. Know the college application deadlines, know the scholarship deadlines. Know their requirements. Like I mentioned, some colleges have very specific requirements. The more selective colleges ask that you take subject tests, and that is a College Board SAT test. You have to take 2 usually, so you're going to have to fit that into your testing window if you're looking at a very specific selective college. So please make sure you're aware of any additional requirements. And then I provided a lot of college workshops this fall. We had reps from University of Washington here actually working with students on their essay for the University of Washington application. I had reps from Western here to help students with applications. Financial aid reps were rolling through even after the financial aid night. So please don't think that this is it. We're always here and we're always promoting information to students, right? You're all supposed to say, yeah. So I'm here to help and I'll continue to get that information out, but use those workshops, use those times, use those experts to get this done. Oh, and field trips. Juniors can attend a college planning day at Western Washington University. It's March 26th, I want to say. I think that's the correct date. College Planning Day is a statewide event, so it's not about Western. This is a statewide event. Every college and every 4-year college in the state is going to be there, and students can go listen in small breakout sessions about the various colleges that we have here in this state. So please encourage students to grab a permission slip from me or email me or call me, and I'm happy to send it off. But we do have a bus going up there, so I'd love to take as many juniors that want to go learn about college options. And then I also mentioned the apprenticeship field trip coming up in April. I'm also going to take a group of students to the University of Washington. So that's another option for juniors to come. And actually, we have a campus tour provided by University of Washington that's going to happen also in April. And we might do some sort of driving around Seattle and understanding the difference between UW's campus, which is very, very large, compared to maybe a Seattle Pacific University's campus, which is very, very small. So if we have time, we'll do that. So those are all field trips that are coming up. These are all of the websites. Again, don't worry about seeing all these right this second. This all will be available online. All of this information is on our website anyway, the Mount Vernon High School College and Career Center website that you can link directly through from Mount Vernon High School homepage, as well as Career Cruising, which the students access, like I said just yesterday. They click right into that and it logs them in through their Mount Vernon High School email, and it's their own portfolio. So use that as a great resource for you. Has information about all the things I mentioned: military, directly into the workplace, 2-year, 4-year technical colleges. So our goal is that every student has a plan. Any questions? And then I'll let Anna go into a little bit more about the Culminating Project and High School and Beyond plan. No questions? All right. If there's any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. And I'm in the office 8 to 3, Monday through Fridays. So please come in and we'll take meetings with students and parents. Happy to help. So Anna Weimer is in charge. We're in charge of our high school or our culminating project, and she's wrapping up with seniors right now, and they've all done a great job. And so we just wanted to share a little bit about that since we had a captive audience of junior parents to let you know a little bit more about that. Do you want to stand over here so you're on the video?
Thanks. So the High School and Beyond plan is a state requirement. The Culminating Project is a district requirement. And Paige just went through all kind of, as you see, like a ton of stuff that comes into, you know, the end of junior year and really through senior year in terms of applying to college and making that, you know, the future kind of happen. This is one of the kind of pieces that is an expectation and requirement before they graduate. And we've restructured it a little bit in order to kind of fit in better with this whole calendar that Paige just went through. So the state requirement is the High School and Beyond plan, and that's what we're doing through Career Cruising. And it's really pretty simple. It's meant to help students plan for their future. So they do a matchmaking kind of test, you know, that gives them some career ideas based on their personality traits and their interests. And so how we're restructuring the CP is to become just a simple job shadow that connects into those careers that they kind of see as possibilities. So The timeline that you kind of see on there is that they're going to be doing the career cruising in advisory, these different components, assignments in advisory. The only expectation kind of outside of advisory is completing the job shadow. And it's a 4 to 8 hour job shadow that they can do. We're hoping to, because this year's a little bit squished, to complete between April and October. And so that they can kind of have that be done, that can give them a little bit better insight into what they want to pursue and how their path might adapt based on their experiences through the career cruising and through the job shadow. Does that make sense? So the goal is to help them see maybe which one of these paths that Paige outlined is that they might want to pursue. So the culminating project is changing from the previous structure to a 4 to 8 hour job shadow and then the presentation. So we're kind of cutting it down to something less than like the whole portfolio, because a lot of the portfolio pieces that were done in the past are being met by the High School and Beyond plan, by the career cruising platform. And that is a state requirement, which kind of came into effect last year, starts this year. So what we've done in the past for the CP actually kind of worked for what the High School and Beyond plan is asking us to do now. So it's kind of constantly adjusting to the state/district requirements. It's partially based on feedback from seniors who feel like when they were doing the senior project, the culminating project, that it was too much added into this whole process. So so we're trying to make it something that is meaningful but works best for students.
And the culminating